Sup, Net? It's Kirk. I am so sorry that this new review of the batch of comics that just came out last week is late. I am so sorry about that. Actually, I had like a small minor surgery done to my knee, and it just kind of laid me up for a little bit, and I was definitely on pharmaceutical drugs that made me really loopy, and in no way, shape, or form should have put me on a camera at all, let alone trying to operate one. And it got gross, and it was a little disgusting, and I won't even bore you with the details. Don't even worry about that. And seriously, the needle is that fucking huge. It's massive. And we're not talking about like one of those little tiny needles that they like give you a little shot with. Meh. So he's got it in there, and he's just shoving it in the knee, and it's like getting like freaking rhinoplasty and also liposuction all at the same time, and I'm just... what are you doing to me? And the doctor is totally, yeah, this is fine. This is normal. Don't worry about it. But I'm watching these little tiny, stupid gray pieces of matter and stuff like flow into the little vial. And I'm like, that looks important. Maybe we should put that back in the knee because it looks like I might need that. And he's just like, nah, scar tissue. Don't worry about it. Those are just chunks that you're not going to ever need to live with ever again. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. And then finally he's like, I'm pretty sure we didn't get all the fluid. You're going to have to turn around. We're going to have to get the rest of it out. I'm really sorry. So that giant fucking needle goes back into my knee from the backside. Like I said, you don't need to hear the details of it. It just, I just don't like getting a needle stuck in me and paying that much money, and it's not a tattoo or a piercing that I walk out of the office with. A little bummed about that. But after all that, you don't want to hear about it. Let's just get to comic book reviews. Mad Max Fury Road #1 by Vertigo Comics. George Miller does the script on this thing. And, wow, holy shit, this is awesome. Let's talk about the film for a second. I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen in the last 10 years. I think it's 2 hours of amazing art put to celluloid. I think it transcends the genre of action altogether, and definitely drops the mic on all other action films. I'm sorry, other directors. Get on his level. George Miller, it was amazing. I've already seen it twice. I need to see it a third time. But whatever! And they're also doing comic books, too, that go with it. So I think they're releasing these in, like, one-shots. And one of the things that George Miller was talking about, and a lot of the other cast members have been talking about, is that George met with every actor and said that there was a whole backstory to their character that they don't actually get into the film, but it definitely helps develop the actor, recreate the character on screen, and us as fans who were going crazy over all this stuff, like the flame-throwing guitar dude. Please, that was the most amazing thing ever. Definitely want to hear and see and read about all their backstories. So this bad boy talks about Nux and Immortan Joe. I hope I'm saying that right. It's almost like a cross between immortal and important. Important. Enunciating the T's. But the story works out really well in this. There's a couple different artists that work on it. They kind of jump around from page to page, but it all kind of reads very, very fluidly. I'm not going to go crazy about it right away. Truth is, the first few pages in both stories in the comic book read a little desolate, kind of like the wasteland the entire world is encompassing, and it gets a little slow, and you're kind of waiting through to see like when they're going to get to the meat and bones of the story. But don't worry, I think if you're a fan of Mad Max, you need to pick this up, because there is absolutely a point where it's an aha moment that starts to feed you the backstory of some of the other characters, and also who Joe is and who Nux was in the movies, that it now even makes the movie that much better. These one-shots are definitely enriching that whole story and that whole world. I'm so excited that they're doing sequels. I'm so glad that they've announced that this is going to be like a trilogy. And I'm also very excited because the next issue is going to be about Furiosa. So I think they're all just one-shots, but we're definitely going to start world building, and I'm really excited about that. Please definitely go check it out. I don't think a lot of people knew they were going to do comic books about it this soon. So definitely call around and check some other retailers. I don't think a lot of people knew it came out, so just put that on your radar right now. Thank you. Convergence #7 by DC Comics. Shit still sucks. Don't bother. Uncanny X-Men by Brian Michael Bendis #34. Works great as a standalone issue. Also works amazingly as a wrap-up to the whole storyline between Dazzler and Mystique. If you remember, Mystique was using Dazzler as a mutant gene harvesting bank so that she could create the mutant growth hormone that she was selling as a drug that gave normal people temporary mutant powers. And it totally sucked for Dazzler because basically she's an awesome character who was being impersonated by Mystique and basically was just sitting on a bed the entire time while she's just being harvested and being kept alive. This issue works out really well because it is a nice, tidy cleanup. Yes, I thought I was on board with the Hot Topic Dazzler costume. I'm not. I am so excited that they went back to the original costume and what's going on with Secret Wars. We'll get to that in a second. But it's definitely Dazzler's issue, and you want to see more of Bendis writing Dazzler like that, but it's not going to happen because I'm pretty sure Bendis is off X-Men after Secret Wars wraps up. But it's a great issue. It's totally Dazzler's issue. She's being a total badass. It's so much fun, especially her interaction with Maria Hill, who is still leading up S.H.I.E.L.D. Really funny scenes there. Go pick it up. Very cool. There's your X-Men update. I know I keep talking about it, but Moon Knight number 15 also came out this week. It's being written by Colin Bunn. He's doing a great job. He picked up after Brian Wood took over the second volume of the series, which was also rebooted originally by Warren Ellis. I keep talking about that creative team and how they're working on Injection over at Image right now. But what Ellis has created as far as the new mission statement for Moon Knight, yes, he's kind of a Batman character. But he's also the analog for an Egyptian god, the Khonshu. And there's this whole thing going on in the series about his relationship with his god, which is actually a really cool concept to kind of explore and talk about. And if you could actually have God in the room and ask him questions and talk to him. And I really liked issue 15 because there is this point in the relationship between him and his Khonshu god that he's telling his god that he's wrong and he doesn't think that it's made the right decisions. And he's like, well, fuck you. I'm still going to go do my thing and I'm going to show you what's up. And let's admit it, a superhero, that's cool. But a superhero telling a god that he knows what's better and what's the best thing to do, that's a story I'm really interested in. Other reasons why I keep pushing Moon Knight is that a lot of the series is being told in single issues. So yes, there is this overlying story being told, but each issue is also self-contained. So you really can pick literally any issue up in the series and just read it and enjoy it for what it is. And that is just a feat as far as being a writer that's writing serialized comics. I don't know how they're pulling it off, and it definitely shows the talent and caliber of the guys that they are putting together to write the series. That's why it's something that I'm always pushing on you guys. Please go check it out. Like I said, if you want Batman, but if you want Batman who also has like a Bat God that he's representing on Earth and doing Bat Gods like deeds and wishes, that's basically Moon Knight. So go check that out. A little something that you guys might have been kind of passing by on the new releases rack, and you're kind of wondering what the hell is that. It's got a creator's name that I recognize, but also that art looks pretty cool, but nothing of it actually kind of resonates. I think I kind of remember it. I don't remember what it was. Check out Empire. It's being done by Mark Waid over at IDW. And there's a little story with the series. It was first printed on Guerrilla Comics, which was a line of comics that Mark Waid started, I think, the late 1990s. And the first two issues of Empire came out on that imprint. But then the company went under. But then Waid was able to start keeping it going over at DC Comics about 2000. And it was a really great concept that definitely happened in its own universe away from what's going on in the DC universe at that time. And it was basically the story of Golgoth. And he's basically the big baddie that happened in the world, and he took it over. He won. He rules absolute. The world is his. Every nation has one of his barons kind of running it and taking it over and only answering to him. And imagine a Doctor Doom who basically won. And it was a very cool story because it's all being told from the point of view of Golgoth and then a lot of his surrogates and a lot of his generals and his inner circle. And they're basically all villains who definitely believe in what Golgoth was doing and carry out his orders without questioning it too much, because believe it or not, there is peace on Earth and goodwill towards men, but the way that it was accomplished, we don't even want to talk about it. That said, the series was amazing, and if you can go find that in a reprint, I definitely highly suggest it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that Empire Uprising, the sequel to it, and I'm really enjoying it. The art is great. It reads very well. Unfortunately, you do kind of need to know what was going on in the first series to kind of get caught up on what was going on in the first issue of this new run. But I'm really excited that the rights reverted back to Mark Waid and that he actually has a place to put it out over at IDW. It's a really fun read, especially if you're like a 90s kid like me who got into comics then. It was a very fun series that was outside of the norm, out of the Image comics that were being printed back then. The Brigades, the Young Bloods, the Blood Sports, the Bloody Blood Bloods, Blood Splatters, King Blood and his Blood Buddy, Blood. How did they make that many characters back then into the 90s? How did they get away with that? Oh, how did Rob Liefeld... Oh, ugh. He's really talented, but man, you need to give that guy a writer. He needs a writer. Funny story, actually read that he's going to bring back Bloodsport and Brigade. That should be really interesting. I hope that we've watched Rob Liefeld develop as a creator since the 90s, when he was super young when he got into the industry. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens with those. That's on camera. I just said that. Damn it. And while we're talking about totalitarian takeover of an entire world and it being ruled by a unfair and unjust god, let's get back to Secret Wars for a second. We're starting to see the first wave of a lot of the new tie-ins and series that were created for this, and I'm pretty excited for that. Admittedly, I kind of don't always like buying the tie-ins, but also at the same time, I need to just admit, and I will keep admitting this, that Hickman has definitely won me over with the first two issues of Secret Wars that are out right now. I think it's a fantastic story. I think the art is amazing. I'm really excited that he's kind of revisiting some of the other themes that he created in the Ultimate Universe back when he was working on those titles. I was really excited for this series. It was written by Willow Wilson. She does Miss Marvel. It's also one of my favorite series. A-Force. She-Hulk. All-female team. Kind of like the Avengers, but not really the Avengers, because it happens on their portion of BattleWorld, and they are like a super mega group of amazing ass-kicking superhero chicks that patrol and keep peace in their part of BattleWorld. And there's some really cool concepts here. I was really excited to see, like I said, Dazzler in her original costume. We get a little break from Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman now that she's back in her original costume, as opposed to the street level one that she's using in her series right now. Also, some really cool interactions between the ladies in the series. I really like that. But unfortunately, I also feel that the issue is not as tight as it could be. They're playing kind of fast and loose, and I have a theory behind that. A-Force is going to be one of the series that continues after Secret Wars is done. So that said, I don't think the creators are putting too much into building the team they've got now, because it's only going to happen for a few issues, and then it's probably going to go away, but maybe see it come back in a different incarnation, with hopefully She-Hulk still leading the team. I'd really like to see that. I'm definitely having fun watching some old favorites come back also. That said, it was a weak outing for a first issue, believe it or not. I'm going to keep reading it, obviously, but I'm really more curious to see what's going to happen after Secret Wars with just the title and concept alone. I think it'll probably be a little bit stronger then, because they'll have a more defined mission with what they want to do with that series. We're watching it closely. Not as great of a first issue that I'd like to see. It wasn't as explosive. Not nearly as engaging as some of Willow's other writing in some of her other titles. But strangely enough, another issue that came out this week that ties into Secret Wars that, believe it or not, blew me away. Planet Hulk by Sam Humphries. How do I pitch this to you so that you need to pick it up? Captain America is roaming the lands like a He-Man with a giant axe in one hand, his shield in the other, and by the way, he's riding Devil Dinosaur through the wastelands to go visit the Hulk land. Yeah. It's a Captain America Barbarian Conan mashup, and it's so much fun, and Devil Dinosaur is like his sidekick, his best bud. They kind of communicate just through like little subtle nods and gestures to make sure that things happen. And basically he screws up something and Doom's like, well, you gotta pay for that, so guess what? So I'm gonna put you on a mission, and if you survive, you get to redeem yourself and I won't kill you. Thanks, Dr. Doom. Cool part is, the B plot on this, and I think it's gonna become the A plot, is that Cap has been looking for Bucky. Apparently he lost Bucky years ago in the BattleWorld setting, and he's really on a mission to search the wastelands of the different battle worlds and the different territories to try to find what happened to Bucky, and hopefully he's still alive. But if that wasn't enough, and that doesn't convince you to go pick up this series based on that summarization alone, feast your eyes on this. Look! Look with your eyes! Look how awesome this is! Come on! Yeah, pretty excited. Gonna watch this one pretty closely. And as with most major Marvel tie-ins that they do for their major events, we have BattleWorld. So do you remember in Avengers vs. X-Men that the A vs. X series, that they had that one series that was literally just fights? It was just your favorite what-ifs. What if this dude fought this dude? What if Gambit fought Howard the Duck? That didn't happen, but man, I kind of like to see that. Chip Zdarsky, trusting on this one. That's BattleWorld. It's basically little mini stories that are happening outside of what else is being told in Secret Wars. And it's interesting because at first I thought it wasn't going to really grab me all that much. But the first story was a Punisher from one alternate reality who had actually been imprinted with the soul of Doctor Strange, who had died but then decided to attach his soul to Frank. So it's kind of weird, because now you got this Frank Castle Punisher character who's walking down the street, who's in his Punisher garb with his giant white skull. But he's also got the Sorcerer Supreme cape with the gem, and he's also got Doctor Strange in the background as like a second voice conscience type thing. And I thought it was really funny. I'm going to embarrass myself for a second, even more so than I usually do in these videos. Do you remember when they tried to reboot Frank, and at one point he became a agent of heaven, and he could conjure up like these weird spiritual, magical, holy can't even talk about it without laughing, because we all bought these issues thinking it was the greatest thing in the world. He could conjure up these holy hand grenades of guns and weapons at will at any time he wanted to. This is basically the same concept, but he's using spells and casting the spells to conjure up the weapon he needs for that moment. So it's weird. It's really weird, and a little weird. And it still gets weirder, because the backup story was MODOK on a quest to take over BattleWorld, and he basically conjures up other versions of himself from different realities. And so now you've got a bunch of MODOKs. There were so many MODOKs. A Spider-Man MODOK, there was an evil MODOK, there was like a Doc Ock MODOK, there was a Spider-Man MODOK, and then there was a baby MODOK that was dealing with her daddy issues. But if you're weird like me and you really like MODOK, which I kind of do, you should probably pick up this issue also. So that was BattleWorld number 1. But yeah, MODOK is this weird, strange character that if you give it the right writer with the right type of sick sense of humor, you really can make MODOK work. And if you stuck around this long, thank you so much. I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit of a treat. This is Optic Nerve, number 14. It's by Adrian Tomine. It's all written and drawn by him. The entire thing is all by this artist. And I just want to kind of like point this out right now. Every time this guy puts out a comic book, it's so much fun for me. It's always a surprise. Basically, there's no rhyme or reason. He just draws and writes, and then when he has the complete story, he prints it whenever he wants. It's out by Drawn and Quarterly, and it's just how do I explain Optic Nerve? It's a lot of self-contained stories. Once in a while, he'll reuse characters and do an ongoing story, but it's basically an artist with complete creative freedom doing what he wants. The art is just so simple and so sweet. It's been... I also love his use of just regular panels and grids, especially if you're a fan of straight bullets, just using like the standard comic book storytelling device of just one panel after the other. A lot of his stuff has been described as highbrow. He does a lot of art for The New Yorker, which I don't want that to turn you off. The reason I really want you to go check out Optic Nerve and Adrian and all his other work is that if you're a fan of Harvey Pekar and American Splendor, I think this is right up your alley. If the Ghost World comic, and even to a certain extent the movie, really resonated with you, I want you to go check out Optic Nerve. If you're just a fan of Daniel Clowes in general, please go check it out. It's just sweet. It's so sweet. He tells stories that are kind of uplifting, but also very real world. Very, sometimes it makes you uncomfortable because you kind of see a little bit of yourself in some of the stories that he's telling. I've read a couple of times that his stories are partially autobiographical, that he draws and writes about. And sometimes when one story ends, it's not an absolute resolution. It almost feels very abrupt, kind of like real life. It's so sweet, but it's also so melancholy. And I just, it's always a treasure when he puts something out. He definitely has a lot of collected pieces of work. Please go check those out. It's just simple, and it's just weird how it's not weird. He's definitely curated this really specific vision of how he wants to tell stories and what kind of stories that he wants to tell, and it just feel like it resonates and will probably relate to you on some level in your real life when you're reading his things. It's so nice. There's no rhyme or reason to when the issues come out, but I just really implore you, if you're kind of a fan of that, if you like Fantagraphics and First Second and those type of publishers, please go check out Adrian. I love those issues. I also think it's very funny. The letters column, the letters that he chooses to print also really kind of fit into that world aesthetic that he's created. And I almost feel like we're getting a really good glimpse and vision of what this artist's life is in real life and how he perceives the world. It's just so well thought out and meticulous, and there's so many amazing details. And when this new issue came out, I definitely, especially the first half of the story, I just kept rereading it because it just has little tiny nuances that you constantly pick up in each little tiny panel, and it seems so simple, but it really is the sweetest thing. And like I said, melancholy, it's the only word I can keep coming up with. It's just so... But if you like Scott Pilgrim, if you're a fan of Brian Lee O'Malley, I think that's also a really good thing for this series. I think it'd be the type of reader that Adrian is looking for. Just because he writes characters that are based in reality, despite the fact that maybe you're really into Scott Pilgrim and a world that's based on video game rules. Just think he's kind of looking for you to read. I think you really like it. So that's pretty much it. I'm so sorry that I was late on this. It's Wednesday's right around the corner, and I'll try to get that video out as quickly as possible. Please like and subscribe and share and tell your friends. I'm a little loopy, as you can tell. Pharmaceutical drugs are a lot of fun in a very controlled setting. But let me tell you, I maybe shouldn't have mixed all that much. So I'll see you guys in a few days, and yeah, thank you so much for giving me your time. Comments down below. And please, guys, go pick up Optic Nerve. Go pick it up. I think you guys would really like it. See ya.